Well, hey there, sunshine. Welcome to Urban Shamanism and the fourth of our 7 fear dragons. Ooh, this one has had me by the tatas the last few weeks, and it is the Martyrdom Dragon. So, also known as the victimhood dragon, this one has us saying things like, this always happens to me, or not fair, why me, poor me. It loves to complain. And here's how it shows up in my life. Like I just mentioned, the last 4 weeks have been kind of intense and really busy. Like I haven't been able to put out my weekly content. See, did you see what I just did there? I haven't been able to. Martyrdom Dragon. I haven't put out my weekly content. And so what Martyrdom Dragon does is it makes us the victim of life happening to us and takes us out of our power, right? And it absolves us of responsibility. So a lot of ways this has shown up for me in the last few weeks are, I'm so busy. I have to do everything myself. It always falls on my shoulders. Let's see if there's other ways. Oh, here's another way it shows up for me is stoplights, right? And especially because my number 1 dragon we'll be talking about next week. And that dragon always has me running just a few minutes behind. So when I run just a few minutes behind, I swear, right? Every light is red and I stop at every stoplight like, oh, why me? Why now? Right? So classic Martyrdom Dragon. And, you know, my grandmother, I don't know if you can like if you started thinking of anyone as I'm talking, you're like, oh, I know this person is so that. My grandma was the ultimate Martyrdom Dragon. And it does get passed down because my father has it. And yes, I do too. It's actually a byproduct for me more of my primary dragon, which we're going to talk about next week because it operates on the same pole, the same axis. We've talked about that in some of the prior videos. And it's because of my primary, I slide into martyrdom a lot, but I'm going to save that for later. And the real key to understand about the Martyrdom Dragon, or the victimhood dragon, as it's also known, is that it lets us off the hook from having to take responsibility for ourselves and our own happiness, right? And our own power and our own actions. And so the core fear behind the Martyrdom Dragon is actually a lack of our own worth. And that results in this idea that the universe is working against us instead of for us. So it shows up a lot as feeling powerless, feeling done to, feeling walked on. And you'll notice it when you feel or when you sense yourself complaining, right? Oh, why me? And if you're feeling unworthy, just if you feel powerless, you are definitely at the mercy of the Martyrdom Dragon. So once you notice through any of those mechanisms that the Martyrdom Dragon is at work, you want to start to take your power back by seeing it for the fear dragon it is. Ah, that's Martyrdom Dragon, right? So once you've seen it, then you can ask, sort of start some self-inquiry. What is this letting me off the hook for? Like, what am I not having to do or take responsibility for by like using Martyrdom Dragon to let me off the hook? And then most importantly is, well, what is it costing you? So a lot of times it'll be costing you power, extraordinary, authenticity, intimacy, having the life you really want. So it's really not worth the trade-off. And when you can kind of see that so clearly, like what the payoff is, what you're letting yourself off the hook from, but what it's costing you, it's easier to let go of it because this one can be so seductive to hold on to. So the next step is to drop the story of it's happening to me and reframe, right? So instead of it's happening to me, this is happening for me. And it always is, right? That's how the universe works. In fact, anything that comes into our world that triggers us is for us because it allows us to see some core wounding that's there, that messenger is trying to give us the message of, and it's a divine messenger, right? And it shows up as people, places, things outside of ourselves, and we want to blame them. But really, if it's triggering us, it's all about something unresolved inside of us. So when we remember, this is happening for my highest and best, for my growth, for my evolution, and even in those places, perhaps practice some gratitude, right? We've all heard of gratitude lists. That's why this works. It no longer makes us feel like the victim of our story. It allows us to be seen as the benefactor. And so then the next thing you want to do is ask, because remember, if the fear is that at our core we're unworthy, this is total inner child work, right? So we get to just drop the story and come into our inner child and ask her, what does she need? What does she need to hear? You are precious, you are special, you are loved, you are powerful, you are extraordinary, you are free. Whatever it is, you can tell her what she needs to hear, and it releases all these people, places, and things outside of us from having power over us. We take our power back and we give ourselves what we need instead of looking for it from everyone else, which will always end in disappointment. It just will, right? Nobody can satisfy our expectations. Expectation is just resentment in the making. So when we give ourselves what we need and we call in spirit to give us what we need, we free everyone else from having to give it to us, and we find our power. So from that place of having nurtured your little one, then you call your power back, right? From across all timelines, any lifetime, I hereby call back all of my power now in the name of the I am that I am, and in accordance with my sovereign divinity. And in that moment, we remember ourselves as our higher self, spiritual beings having a human experience, and complete creators of our existence. And really, truly, seeing ourselves as the creators of our stories, of our choices, is sort of the ultimate karmic healing. It's the ultimate awakening. When we come back to that place of finally realizing, like, all of our stories of us having been done to, we really are creators of our stories. We chose to incarnate into these lifetimes. We chose the people, places, and things that were going to be setups for our highest possible growth and evolution. And we are fucking badasses for having walked through what we walked through. And if we can do that, we can do anything, right? Everything we've walked through has made us who we are today and puts us in a place of power and waking up to our remembering of ourselves as our divine aspect. So from that place, it's really hard to be in martyrdom. We call our power back, and then we can choose, what do I stand for? I stand for the possibility of authentic, loved, and powerful, or joyful, abundant, and free. And whatever those possibilities are, I would really recommend that as your soul work from this week, your inner shaman practice, write down what are the 3 qualities you most want to stand for. And usually they're the ones you most desire, but we're going to flip the script from being something that you desire to now something you stand for, right? So if you want abundance, joy, and freedom, you stand for abundance, joy, and freedom. And then you use that as your lens through which to take your next inspired action. Not the story, the possibility. So with that, I invite you into your power, drop the martyrdom story, and really create the life that you want to create. And if someone else you know happens to have this martyrdom dragon, give them a little grace. You know exactly where they're coming from now. So if you are interested in learning about all 7 of the fear dragons, be sure to check out my guide that I've made for you, the 7 fear dragons and how to slay them, by going to steffyfunk.com/fear-dragons, and you will have your whole guidebook there for dealing with these 7 pesky dragons, which are the root of all that plagues us. And there are very simple tools for being able to get back into our divine selves. So with that, I hope this video was helpful for you, and I cannot wait to see you next week to talk to you about my primary fear dragon. Until then, have a great week.